Good evening, everyone, and welcome to another episode of the Bet Tech Show. We're your hosts, Ben and Ethan, and we've got a great show set up for you tonight. Got some tech news for you, so please make sure that you hit us up in the comments. Let us know what your thoughts are on these, and we will go ahead and get started with the iPad that nobody asked for. Apple has unveiled their new iPad lineup with and their iPad Pro with the new M4 chip, which was kind of surprising since all of a sudden we went from M2 to M4.
Yeah, M3 is only reserved for BMWs.
Yes. So we can't have that. But now we've got the M4, which makes this the fastest iPad known to man, supposedly.
Wow, so fast.
But it's limited based on its OS because Apple won't give up iPad OS and just put Mac OS on an iPad, which is all they need to do. If they would do that, iPad would be great. Nevertheless, we've got two new sizes. We've got an 11 and a 13-inch model. Also, the iPad Pro lineup is thinner than air, which also nobody asked for. And with that, it's allegedly going to have the same battery life as the previous gen, which means that they have shrunk down the battery so that it could be smaller and thinner. And the M4 just must be that much more efficient to be the same battery life, which I guess is good. I think battery life is always important. We also got a new iPad Pencil Pro that has some pretty unique features. It has a tilt feature, also has some additional features that allow you as you squeeze it. So if you ever wanted to squeeze your Apple Pencil, you now have that option. And with that, it looks like we've got um, some. It just seems like a really odd time to have an iPad launching with these M4s. I mean, I guess that I understand why they did that is because now that they've done it, they at this time have the fastest processor. But as soon as um, everybody else comes out with their own processors, I think M4 is probably not going to be the fastest. But now that they did it so quick to the gate, I guess they are the fastest. Um, so I wanted to get your thoughts on this. Do you think these are going to be good products, or do you think this is just an attempt, Apple's attempt to try and keep this lineup going without having actual substance behind it?
Yeah, uh, I think we've talked about this before, but here's my Trump hands. We've talked about this before. Apple's the greatest there is. No, sorry. Back to the serious question. We've talked about this before. I am like not impressed. I'm somewhat confused. I'm also like, okay, cool. The processor is actually pretty dope. The M4 chip is actually pretty insane. That I will say is really cool. But to throw it in to your iPad, um, in my opinion, is not pointless, but makes it hard to, as a consumer, to want to buy the iPad because it's just another iPad with the iPad OS. This is all has always been a setback for people with iPads is they want to be able to have the power of the like MacBook, but also the portability and like the ease of use of the iPad, but with also the MacBook OS, right? A lot of people's always, not always, but a lot of people say the iPad OS is a hindrance. At least it's limiting. And Apple's done some good things to try and improve it. They brought I think it was the video media movie creator or editor software. And then
Final
they
Cut.
also brought, yeah, and then you thank you, Final Cut. And then they also brought the audio version as well. I can't remember the name of that, but I think that was a big improvement for a lot
Yeah.
of people with the iPad. And if you have this much power in the iPad, you wonder why is there not a more robust operating system on it. And also with this M4 and the new pencil, and I think they have the new keyboard as well, at least new. It's very similar, just a little bit updated.
Mhm.
And so all those combined, you're essentially building the MacBook Pro, and overall comp on price is roughly the same as well. And so you just have a more simplistic software than the MacBook Pro using the iPad. I have a hard time justifying purchasing an iPad, but
Mhm.
that's just me. And I was talking to my neighbor, our good friend Kaleo, about this. He's an iOS developer, and so he was telling me why some people justify buying it, why this would be something cool, new for the news. But I'm with you, Ethan. I thought this is a weird time to release this, and I personally am not significantly impressed. If they leverage the M4 on top of a more robust operating system, I think I would be a lot more excited. But
Yeah.
that's
Yeah.
my opinion. What are your thoughts?
Yeah, I think that, if they were to if they would have released this, and this will never happen, but if they would have said, "Hey, this year we are bringing Mac OS to the iPad with touch support," that people would flip their minds. People would lose it, and
Yeah,
everyone would go out and buy these. But
yeah,
uh, just because of that hindrance, because they want to keep those two things distinct, and they don't think the Mac OS is touch capable, it it's gonna be such a hindrance. I mean, this is one of the reasons that the Surface Pro for Microsoft has been so successful. It's because it is a full operating system, albeit the ARM version of Microsoft on a tablet. And so you can
yep,
have full desktop class programs on your tablet and a um, mobile setup. And
yep.
that's what the iPad needs. If it had that, I would be inclined to buy it. But the stupid commercial of what's a computer still doesn't apply.
Yeah, I'm with you 100%. And I wonder if Apple is withholding the MacBook operating system onto the iPad because they want to keep it so distinct, where the iPad is your in between the phone and a laptop. MacBook Pro is our flagship laptop,
Mm.
and they want to maintain that distinguished feature. Or if they truly have a difficult time aligning, uh, bringing over the OS to iPad and aligning it with their future roadmap and having the touch capability with the operating system and baking that into what their future roadmap is going to be for their product features. Because that is something to be considered, right? The coding behind all of that, especially when you're applying it to a device that is primarily touch, touch
Mhm.
focused, touch operated. So it's a question that I have in my mind. But to be honest, I lean more towards the former, because if anyone can innovate on technology or make technology work, it's Apple. At least it should be
It
Apple,
should be.
right? It
Yeah.
should be. And so that's somewhat of the disappointing feeling I get, which is they don't really want to do it because I believe they probably could. Um, yeah,
Yeah.
yeah,
It's sad.
yeah,
Apple is
it
turning
is.
into the new is turning into ranch. It's just buttermilk and sadness.
Yeah, exactly. Exactly.
So, but yeah, let us know what you all think. Do you think the iPad is worth getting? Are you going to upgrade? the new iPad Pro or let it be. Let us
I'm
know.
I'm I'm curious, please, whoever's listening, if you have an iPad, tell me what you love using the iPad for that you're not using on either your computer or your phone. Tell me, because truly, I personally want to buy one, but I have a hard time justifying it. So I love to hear community comments, listener comments. Tell me what you do with it, why you love it, if you love it, etc. So
Yeah, please let us know. Because for me, the only thing that I use my iPad for is to sign documents.
my little pen.
Yep. But I could do that with my finger on my phone if I was really in a jam.
Yeah,
So,
yeah.
all right. What do you have for us tonight?
All right. We're gonna go with uh we're gonna go with a lawsuit. We love lawsuits
Oh,
on this
we do love
podcast.
lawsuits.
We love a little drama.
We live for them.
We live for them, especially Microsoft lawsuits. Those are our favorite.
Yes.
So Microsoft got hit with a pretty big lawsuit. I mean, for them it's probably chump change, but for the average person, it's a lot of money. $242 million U.S. verdict regarding Cortana patent, which I felt like they could have done a lot more with, but that's a different
Yeah.
story. Um, so apparently they had patent infringement on a company called IPA Technologies. And a judge in or a federal jury in Delaware said Microsoft needs to pay 242 million to IPA Technologies. Nothing specific to the actual name Cortana. I think it's the actual process of virtual assistant software. And it's a really interesting case. I didn't hear much about it, to be honest. Um, but apparently, IPA is a subsidiary of a patent licensing company called WeLAN. I'm assuming that's how you
Mhm.
pronounce it. Jointly owned by Canadian technology company Quarterhill and two investment firms. Uh, IPA bought the patent and others from SRI International's Siri Inc., which Apple acquired in 2010, whose technology it used in the Siri virtual assistant. So um, there is some overlap there of the technology. They're using Siri technology in Cortana, and they bought the patent. Anyway, there's some overlap there. Microsoft's going to appeal. They're saying, hey, we're confident. There's no infringement. We're not worried about this. We're going to appeal, which they have the power and the money to fight this tooth and nail. So we'll see how long this will drag out. It's already been going for a while. They filed a lawsuit in 2018, and it's been going on for that long. The lawsuit was originally for personal digital assistance and voice-based data navigation. So really interesting. Microsoft also isn't the only victim. IPA also sued Google and Amazon won back in 2021. Google is still happening. So yeah, pretty crazy. IPA is trying to get the bag, trying to get the money. They do have some patents, which is great for them. What are your thoughts here? Do you think to be honest, there's not a lot of details around it. It's just like, hey, they're in a lawsuit. Do you think IPA is reaching? Do you think they're just trying to get some money, or do you think they actually have a case based on the very limited visibility you have here?
I bet they have a case. Um, but considering that Cortana is just so bad and that there's even overlap with Siri, which is probably why Siri is bad. Um, I don't know. I think IPA may have a case here. The thing that worries me is that they've been at this lawsuit for a long time. Microsoft has very deep pockets for this type of thing, and even if um, IPA wins, it's going to be years before they see anything from this, and Microsoft's just going to be a bully, and they're either just going to take it anyway, even if they've infringed on it, and just go with it because they have the money to do so.
Yeah, do you
So
think Sorry, go ahead, keep going.
Yeah, so I don't know. I with this, I don't think there's anyone that's going to really win out of this, because by the time that this finishes, um, we will have been so long, and virtual digital assistants technology will have changed so much that this will almost be irrelevant.
That's a good point. The relevancy, it might just not really be that important and kind of die out. Do you think it's too late for IPA to try and settle outside of court? Do you think, if Microsoft says that we're going to appeal, IPA says, hey, you know what? This has been going on for a while. Let's just settle for like 150. Do you think Microsoft will say, okay, sounds good? Or, nah, we're taking you to court?
I I think Microsoft's going to be in the position that they're just going to take them to court. Um, it would have to be Microsoft that would want to settle for there to be a settlement.
Hmm.
Because I think as of right now, Microsoft still has all the leverage. And if IPA comes in wanting to settle, um, Microsoft will say, okay, we'll settle for $2 type of a thing.
Yeah, or we'll fight in court.
Hmm.
Yeah, yeah. That's my thought too, is like I can see IPA potentially, once they catch wind of Microsoft, I mean they probably already have, wanting to appeal this. I can imagine they're thinking, this is pretty long. We still got Google open too. Maybe we try and just bury this, just
Hmm.
sweep it under the rug, bury the hatchet. I don't
Yeah.
know. But we'll see what plays out here. I probably should have done a little bit more digging as to like understanding a little bit more of the case and understanding why the jury gave IPA the initial win. So it'll be, I mean, I'm sure we'll hear the final verdict in the end when it actually does happen. But
Yeah. This will definitely be interesting. Um, maybe silver lining of this, we might actually get some better virtual assistants because
oh
Cortana
my
is
gosh.
garbage and Siri is also garbage. And
I I just am so frustrated with the fact they hyped it up with Cortana being the name, and then they fail to provide Cortana's voice and
yeah,
functionality.
I mean, Cortana was so useful in Halo. She could have at least been half as useful, or even a third or a fourth as useful in real life, and we would have been happy.
Yeah, I agree. I agree.
So,
But with how AI is going these days, I bet someone will just make their own version.
yeah,
And I won't be surprised if Microsoft does like a take two on it or something.
yeah, probably just call it the weapon.
Exactly.
Uh, so we just need Jarvis, and that would solve everybody's problem.
Yeah. Jarvis is awesome.
Hmm.
Everyone knows. I feel like everyone in the world knows Jarvis. Not everyone knows what Cortana or who Cortana is, what Cortana is, but everyone pretty much knows Jarvis.
Yeah, and if people don't know Jarvis, they have been sitting under a rock for the last since 2008,
Yeah,
which
yeah.
is
Or maybe they don't live in a first world country. One
maybe,
of the two. One of the
maybe,
two.
yeah,
One of the two. But come on, people, if you don't know Jarvis, get out from under that rock.
yeah. At least go watch Iron Man. Great
Yeah,
movie.
yeah, exactly. Phenomenal movie.
Well, speaking of not so good movies, looks like Apple is um, apologizing for a controversial iPad Pro ad. Uh, and if anybody has seen this, it was an advertisement of human creativity, musical instruments, paint cans, and being crushed by a giant hydraulic press. And after that, the new iPad Pro is revealed. Um, One of the interesting things with this ad is Apple didn't allow for comments with the ad, and so everybody took to Twitter or X to post their backlash of the ad, and, um, talking to Tim Cook, about how deplorable this is and what poor taste it is that, Apple had with this type of ad. And Tim Cook was forced to apologize. And he wrote a public apology for this. And I believe they've taken down the ad, but since the internet is the internet, you can't really, once something's out there, it is always out there.
Oh
But
yeah.
this is, this was just, it was not a win for Apple, with their advertising. So I want to get your thoughts on this. Did you see the ad? What did you think about the ad?
Yeah, I saw the ad. Um, I personally didn't see a lot of issue with it, but initially, I'll say initially, I didn't see any issue with it initially because I understood the concept they were trying to portray, which is the iPad encompasses so many aspects of people's lives when it comes to creativity, and you can do all these things on the iPad. I get that. I understand the backlash people have, I guess. I don't know. Sometimes I think people are just a little too upset and a little too worried. Speaking of first world problems of like not seeing Iron Man, like worrying about an ad like this, that's first world problems to me.
Yes.
I sometimes I roll my eyes about it. The thing that I think is interesting that no one's talking about is this concept is almost a direct rip from an LG commercial back in 2008 when they introduced their smartphone. LG had all these different items inside this giant compact like trash compactor, kind of like in Star Wars,
Mhm.
and where Luke and everyone's in the trash compactor swamp thing. Anyway, LG essentially did the same thing. And they had like a record player, they had pictures, they had very similar situation. And the trash compactor is all smashing it. And the thing that's revealed is their smartphone. And I don't think I've seen that many people talk about it. I've seen one TikTok that's highlighting how this commercial is a direct rip from that LG commercial. And maybe there is a lot of backlash because of that, but I feel like it's more backlash in regards to the distaste of how the iPad is taking over everything and
Mhm.
um, just eliminating creativity and culture. And I feel as though the backlash is coming from that perspective, as opposed to, hey, you kind of ripped off another company and their creativity of a commercial, you know?
Yeah.
That's my thought. But maybe I'm just not a creative. Maybe I'm just boring and so I have no emotional connection to this. But
No, I
what are your
think you're
thoughts?
right. Yeah, I think you're right. I mean, I kind of feel like the iPad in general is kind of like a stagnant technology. There hasn't been a whole lot of innovation of it lately. And so, like, maybe if they would have had this commercial back in 2008, that would have been really cool and probably wouldn't have, probably nobody would have cared because I feel like in 2008, people didn't have so many emotions. And I'm gonna get roasted for this, but there's way too many emotions about frivolous things.
I don't think you're Russ. I think the majority of people would agree with you. The people who don't agree with you are probably fitting in that book of having too many emotions.
Yes. So, yeah, I think this was probably just really bad timing and, um, just bad timing for Apple on
Yeah,
this, and probably somebody needed something to complain about, so here we go.
yeah, I spot
That was
on. How do you think Tim Cook feels? Do you think he's ripping apart marketing?
Probably he's saying, for crap's sake, let's move on.
Yeah.
I, I probably think he just apologized, and I don't think anything is going to change.
Yeah.
But
Yeah.
maybe Tim Cook's maybe he gives in a little bit to the people, and maybe he did rip marketing and say we need to do better.
Come on, marketing. Let's not take away the creative aspect of human life and culture, but we want them to buy our technology.
Yeah, we want them to buy our technology.
Yeah. Yeah,
So
really interesting here.
I guess now somebody just needs to come out with a commercial crushing the iPad, and what's revealed is human creativity.
Yep.
So I, we keep coming up with some of these good commercial ideas. We should just come up with a digital marketing company.
Well, yeah. Let's see here. Sorry, hold on one sec. I'm having technical difficulties in a sec. Give me a moment. My audio just went out as you were saying that.
Ooh, is it back? Back again?
Can you hear me?
I can hear you. Can you hear me?
I got you. All right.
Okay, sweet.
Yeah, but I agree. I don't know why we're not doing Apple's marketing.
I
We
know.
just
We should.
genius commercials that we're coming up
Yes.
with. Bring back shit my pants, bro.
Yes. We can
But
ship our tech for free.
that's right. Shit my pads? I can shit my pads. All right. Speaking of technology and taking over human culture, um, let's talk about TikTok. Let's talk about TikTok and their AI tag that they're bringing to their content. Um, TikTok just announced they are going to be the first social media company to tag content that has been uploaded or imported from AI generated sources, which to me doesn't really sound very reliable, but they're doing their best to label AI generated content as AIGC, AI, artificial intelligence generated content, etc. You guys understand.
Yeah.
Um, so yeah, they're saying, hey, we're gonna be labeling this just so that people understand what's AI, what's human generated, because some people are getting confused already, and some people are using AI generated content to mislead information or mislead individuals with misleading information, to scam people, to trick people. Um, so it can be used for a lot of great things, as we all know, but also is being used in malicious ways and deceiving manners. So really interesting. Um, they are pretty proud of it, but they're not the only ones. Meta announced in February that's says working with industry partners on technical standards that will make it easier to identify images and eventually video and audio generated by AI. So the interesting thing that I saw in this article was TikTok noted that uh, it began to deploy the technology Thursday on images and videos and will be coming to audio only content soon. But I thought it was interesting. There's a phrase that they say where like how they're identifying AI generated content is based on the upload, I think. And to me, that makes it very limiting of a technology. Um, and so for me, and my thought is if people can just use an AI source is there any way that people can just export the file, edit it in their own editing software, do their own personal magic to it, and then export that and then bypass this AI tagging? It's just, in my opinion, how thorough is this? And it's probably not, but I want to get your thoughts on this. Do you think this is necessary? Do you think it's good? Do you think there's significant worries here, or is this just kind of a hype branding marketing material for TikTok given their bad PR recently?
I think it's interesting. I I think it could be a good thing because um, one of the theories that I've had is that uh, the downfall of truth in human history is going to be the internet because there's just so much truth with falsity mixed together.
Mhm. Yeah,
Uh,
that's a really good point.
and so I think by having this, that gets a little bit closer to helping people determine the truth or what narrative they want to consume um, versus potentially being manipulated into another narrative that they may not be aligned with or may not want to learn about or may not agree with. So I I think this can be a good thing. I find it interesting that um, this that this is a presidential executive order push type of type of a
Ooh,
thing that's going on, and
yeah, that's a good point
I
with
think the
President Joe
reason
Biden.
is because we are coming into an election year
Hmm.
where um, this has a huge potential for introducing things that may not be true or may not be as true as they need to be for helping people determine which candidate to vote for. So, I, and I think Joe Biden's maybe a little bit worried that the narrative is going to be um, not in his favor. So, for this. So, but that aside, I think this could be a good thing so long as it even works. I'm a little skeptical of TikTok's implementation of this, of whether it's going to or not. What are your thoughts?
Yeah, I'm I think you make a good point in regards to election year. Interesting decisions happen there. And I do think there is some regulation that needs to happen around AI. So I don't know if this will be a solid addition to the regulation or if this will just be a foundational stepping stone in the right direction. But Um, I think it's good that there is some type of call out for AI generated content. You make a really interesting point though around human history being uh not manipulated, but increasingly dirty. You know, what I mean by that is there's so many different opinions and thoughts, and with AI especially, you can twist facts and turn fiction into nonfiction, at least make it seem like it's nonfiction. And having a having better clarity on whether the content you're reading to support certain opinions, thoughts, historical events is AI generated or actual factual information. I think that would be good to have. And so like I said, I kind of am glad that this is happening. I'm curious to see how TikTok executes.
Yeah.
It does say in the article that they're using metadata to try and match known AI sources to the metadata. I don't know how accurate that'll be, but personally, I'm a little happy to see some company pushing for more AI regulation and AI call out. I
Mm,
think here's my thought. Um, I kind of feel like when we look back in 10 years, 15 years to the AI revolution that we are in now, it's going to be very similar to like the dot-com boom, which is, man, the internet back in the 90s was the wild, wild west, bro.
yeah,
Anything was open and available, and bugs and downloads and pop-up ads and all that stuff was just wide open and crazy. And I think we're gonna have a similar reaction. And maybe it might even not even take that long, given how fast things are changing. Maybe in a few years, we will look back and say, yeah, that AI revolution period was wild. That was just no regulation, people creating content anything, anytime they wanted, about anything they wanted, and manipulating people in good ways or bad ways, what have you. But I think that's my overall thoughts and opinion, and I think I hope TikTok executes this well. We'll see. I think it's a stepping stone in the right direction, though.
yeah, I agree. Um, Hopefully, this is a good change rather than what we saw with Gemini earlier, with the Black founding fathers. So,
That was it's so ridiculous, it's so ridiculous seeing that, and that brings another good point, Ethan, which is AI is fed information, and depending on what you feed it, it really impacts the outcomes.
mhm,
And so if it's bad food in, it's bad results out.
yeah,
I think of data, bad data in, bad data out, right? Um, so that's another really interesting aspect, is who's going to regulate what type of data goes into AI modules or machine learning, and does that need to be regulated? And it gets so much deeper, the more technical and granular you get with it. Um, it just I just think that it's a huge undertaking, and we're just barely scratching the surface of AI and machine learning. So
yeah. I think definitely taking a step back would be, um, in our AI building journey's best interest, making sure that we do it right the first time rather than having, any implicit bias or, um, a bad data going into it. That's the last thing that we need for this, where people are just have access to, where we have the mass public has access to this, um, having them get bad data and believing that that is bad.
yeah, yeah, exactly. I saw another article. I didn't read it, but I saw the headline that was, um, a lot of people are worried that foreign influences will be using AI to publish false information and provide misinformation in regards to our election year. Um, whether that's fear mongering or not, I think there's definitely like a high possibility of actually happening.
Mhm.
And I don't even think foreign. I think even domestic people, like domestic parties, are going to try and really be manipulative. So yeah, it's awesome to see AI, but it's also a little scary when you look at it from a cup half empty perspective, if you know what I
Yes.
mean.
Yeah,
So
I
I don't
completely.
know, man. Yeah, I don't know.
This will be interesting to see as it pans out.
Yeah.
Alrighty. Well, the last one that I have for tonight is Tesla firing its entire supercharging team. So
Yowza.
this week, in the midst of ever growing layoffs in the tech industry, Elon Musk has cut its 500-person group, including senior directors and other, and basically this entire department who is overseeing their supercharging network, which
Jeez.
means that this is now going to be slower network growth for superchargers and the supercharger network going forward. Which to me, this doesn't seem like a great idea, especially where we've got other companies like Rivian, Ford, and General Motors starting to adopt this Tesla North American charging standard connector and having the ability to utilize these chargers. So, with that, now that we don't have any support for these, it seems like all of these automakers are now going to be left in the dust, and the infrastructure that we have for that will allow a wider adoption for electric vehicles is not going to be as high or as quick as people may have anticipated. What are your thoughts on this? Do you think this was a smart move by Tesla, or do you think it was a little short sighted just trying to get the balance sheet corrected?
Personally, I think it's more of the latter. I think there's a little bit of short-sightedness, but I also don't have full context into Tesla. And also, Elon's a pretty smart dude. But with that being said, I feel as though in the immediate term, the next 3 to 9 months, this is a massive blow to EV infrastructure. And I think it will delay the progression significantly. Just because we talked about this already in our previous episode of the partnership where Tesla's building out or other manufacturers are adopting Tesla's supercharging. And in my opinion, if you're trying to build relationships with other manufacturers and work together with them and provide them with the resources they need in order to um, like fulfill the adoption of these superchargers. Maybe not the superchargers, is maybe it's just the charger, the type of charger. But regardless, I think you're pulling out a lot of moving parts of this entire EV machine that's progressing and building. Um, it definitely seems like a brash decision to try and write their financial statements and make investors happy in the short term. Um, I don't know. It doesn't impact me as much because I don't own an EV, but I'm sure Ford and Rivian are a little upset about it, and I'm I'm really curious to see how they'll handle this. I'm also really curious to see how Tesla's going to handle the overload on what remaining team they do have, right?
Yeah.
Because it sounded like in the article there's still members of the team working on their superchargers, but sounds like it's very limited.
Yeah.
And so if everything's funneled into them, that's gonna be, in my opinion, a big bottleneck. But
Mhm.
it's my opinion. What are your thoughts here?
Yeah, I mean, I understand it's an EV apocalypse out there right now. No one's buying
Mhm.
EVs. Tesla um, sales have significantly slowed. Every EV manufacturer right now, their sales have slowed um, r- way down. And I mean, Tesla's even resorted to marketing, which is something they've never done in the history of their company, which I find
They've
interesting.
they've also lowered they just released a new financing deal with significantly low rates between 1.99 and like 4%.
Really?
Um, yeah. And so that it kind of goes to show they're really looking for more sales.
Time to get on
So
that Tesla purchase then.
I know. I know. I keep going back and forth, truck or Tesla, truck or Tesla. And I asked my boys this today. As I literally asked them, boys, should I get a truck or should I get a Tesla? Because they love the Tesla. They
Uh-huh.
love the power. And the response was transforming convertible. I was like, well, that's out of the picture. Like that doesn't do me any good. Most of those are coupes and don't have four-wheel drive for the snow. So
You could
no.
always get an EV Hummer.
Yeah, sure. EV Hummer. Like
Yeah.
I can just throw down 110K.
So, but
So
yeah,
yeah.
I mean, with this, I don't know. I don't think this is going to be great in the long run. It'll probably be good for their financial statement in the short term, but
Mm,
generally, from my experience, that and understanding businesses when it comes to layoffs, generally layoffs do not help in the long run. It's usually a short-term fix for something that requires more technical change in the company that um, layoffs don't usually help. So, but that's also I've never run a company before, and so I wouldn't I don't know what I'm talking about with that. So that's just one man's opinion. So
yeah.
I guess we'll see how this goes and see if um, hopefully EV sales will turn around. Will be I I think EVs are great technology. I don't think they're a replacement for combustion engines, but I think it's good to have a variety out there. If we can get an infrastructure there to support it.
Yeah. Yeah, I think that's fair. I agree. I really like the concept of EVs, and I do love there's almost a minimalist aspect of EVs and not the EV builds just seem to be more advanced technologically and from a user experience standpoint. And so I love that idea about them. Um, it's always just been infrastructure that's held me back. So I like your perspective though of having a good variety, even though it may not be a full replacement yet, like a replacement solution. It's good to have a variety and have the optionality, and competitiveness is always good for a capital market.
Mhm.
Um, so
That's the way Dad did it. It's the way America does it. And it's worked out pretty good so far.
I freaking love that you said that, dude. I love that you said that. Oh man, it reminds me. You said that before, maybe not on the podcast, but you and I have talked about this, and you've quoted that before. And I was in a golf tournament in St. George, Utah,
Uh-huh.
and it was like a par three hole, and it was like over a canyon. You have to hit it
Mhm.
over a canyon, and I was with these guys, and so I started joking, and I was like, "Gentlemen, this is here how you hit a hole in one," and I hit it. I didn't get a hole in one, but I hit it really close to the pin. And
Uh-huh.
I quoted that. I said, that's how Dad did it. That's how America does it. And it's worked out. That's pretty good so far. They
Oh,
all laughed. It was great. One of the best quotes ever.
oh, I love that.
So, action items for the night for all you listeners out there. You have to watch Iron Man if you haven't watched
Yes.
it. There's been three or four references so far. So,
Yes. So, I mean, that is the theme for tonight. Iron Man.
yep, yep,
And if
that's it.
anything, I'm gonna have to
So,
go watch it now because it's been a while.
yeah, same, same. Go watch it. But
Alrighty. You got anything else for us tonight?
Well, I think we'll end on that. I think
All
that's
right.
good for tonight. Yep.
All right. Sounds great. Well, we want to thank everyone for sticking with us through the night, and for your support for listening to our show. Give us a thumbs up if you liked it. If you didn't like it, that other button seems to work all right as well. Make sure you send it to somebody you dislike. I think they could really use this video. As always, stay classy and have a great evening.
Peace.